All right, so now as far as those corners that we fixed up, look, you can't even tell anymore. All I did was sand off the glue that was on the edges, touch them up again with the torch, light sanding, and you can't even tell they were there. So now for the stain is really easy to apply. It's this Minwax in navy. It's a semi-transparent, which means that you'll be able to see the wood grain underneath. It's easy. Once you stir it a little bit, stir it for a couple of minutes, which I did, you'll take a foam brush and you'll need a synthetic. This is a microfiber rag. It gets really dark really fast, so as soon as you brush it on, you're going to wipe it right off. Trust me. It tells you no more than 2 minutes, and they're not kidding. They're very serious about this. So let me apply this on here real quick and kind of show you how it goes. We'll do the short end here. So all we're doing really is we're going with the grain. You see how thick that is? And we're going to get these edges all the way down with the grain. Get all the blobs out of it. There we go. Literally just finished putting it on. Take the rag, put some pressure on. Wipe it. Get the edges. Make sure you wipe it all down all evenly. And that's it. Now, if you do this and you find that the color or the stain is too light, it takes about an hour to dry. You can go back over it after that. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna finish this up and I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. Well, there it is, the final application. It almost looks like a denim. It's pretty nice. I like it. Like I said, it's this Minwax. Wipe on, wipe off. You're done. That's the leg, the other leg, and the supports. So what comes next is, let's see here. What comes next is going to be the assembly. So this stuff takes about an hour to dry in dry heat, and I am in South Texas, and it's humid. Oh my God, it's like humid out here and hot. So it's going to take a little bit more than an hour for it to thoroughly dry. So I'm going to give it overnight. Once I give it overnight, I'll decide if I'm going to add a clear sealant to it. I might just give it a little shine and keep everything out. But the burning of the wood already does that. It keeps all the impurities out and kind of preserves it. So I'll think about that overnight. Sometime tomorrow I'll be back and we'll do the assembly and of everything. And the only thing that we're going to be left with is going to be the actual tabletop. And that's going to be way more involved. And so I'll get back to y'all then. Until then, I appreciate y'all tuning in. And this will be part 4. So this is the first half of part 4. I'll do the second half tomorrow. All right, so part 4 to be continued tomorrow on the same video here. Middle-aged guy signing off. Have a good one. All right, so now we've stained the wood, and we've also applied a Minwax. It's called a polyacrylic. Excuse my pool. This right here as a protectant. Excuse that grass too. It's been raining. So once you apply the stain, that polyacrylic is like a sealant and it protects the wood. You actually put it on very, very thinly. This looks nice. So you put it on really, really thin, and I mean thin coats. Thin coats. They are not playing when they say thin coats. You'll put it on, let it dry. If it's too heavy, you'll see it bubbling, and you'll also see it start to clump at the ends. Just wipe it off and keep the coats nice and thin. What's going to happen after you apply that is it's going to dry. It's going to take about an hour to dry, an hour or two to dry. Once it dries, you go back with a fine grit. I use a sanding block, a 220 grit sanding block, and you want to knock the shine off of it. You're just kind of trying to rough it up. Wipe it down with the rag, get all the dust off of it, and apply a second coat and let that dry. And that's what I did. I have 2 coats. You can go up to 3. I think 2 was sufficient for what I needed. So that's what we're doing right now. And then from here, we're going to actually do the assembly of the base. So we're almost there with the base. So just stay tuned and we'll get the assembly started and finished. And I'll show you what we're doing. Just a quick add in here. The, oh my goodness, Whittle. Oh my boy. The polyacrylic by Minwax that we're using. I don't know if I covered this. Just to be sure, I just want to reiterate. You want to stir it gently and thoroughly. So what I usually do is I'll stir it like 50 times in one direction and gently stir it 50 times in the other direction, and it's ready after that. And like I said, thin coats. If it's too thick, wipe it off and you can just reapply. Now, for some reason, if you end up getting runs or drips or stuff like that and it's already dried, all I do is usually just sand it off, you know, and get the clumps off of it, and then just continue with the process. So yeah, this and now back to the actual polyacrylic application process clip. And this is Weddle. This is Weddle. All right, thanks guys. So here we go with the polyacrylic base application. As you can tell, we got the first coat down. So now what we're going to do is take this 220 grit sponge. I just got the sponge because they were cheaper. And you can tell this is the first coat that we applied here just shortly, a little while ago. All we're going to do is just sand it down lightly, get that shine off of it, and then reapply a second thin coat and let it dry, and then we'll be ready for assembly on the base. So as soon as I finish this up, I'll be right back with y'all. All right, now we got our second thin layer on. We're gonna have to give it a few hours to dry. The dry time on this is usually about 1 to 2 hours, but since I'm in South Texas and it's humid, oh my God, it's humid, it's gonna take a little bit longer. So this stuff goes on kind of has like a white base to it or milky base to it, and it clears up as it dries. So once this is clear, we'll start the assembly of the base. The other parts right here are ready to go. So it is a dark wood. I didn't think it was going to be this dark, but still okay. Still got a bunch of blue navy highlights, which looks, you know, it looks clean. So we'll do the assembly here once this has dried. You can see on some of the side it came out really nice. So yeah, so stay tuned. We'll be right back with you, and at the assembly, that should round off part 4, and we'll start working on the desktop after that. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a good day. Now, since we've covered all this in the polyacrylic, what I've had to do is mark off where the 2x4 would go, these support beams, right, with the pocket holes that we dug, and I scuffed them down with some sandpaper, and also scuffed down the ends, which I'm fixing to do on this last board, like the ends, so that way we have good adhesion with the wood glue. In addition to that, you want to make sure that all the pocket holes are facing the inside of the desk, as well as these pocket holes here. All these are going inside because this will be underneath, and this will be the inside of the desk, so it won't be visible from the outside. So I've attached the 2 legs so far. I've attached the 2 beams so far. I'm fixing to attach the 3rd before I get the last set of legs put on. So yeah, we're almost done. So here's the final, ignore the mess, that's got to get cleaned next. Here's the final process, or the final product on the base itself of the desk. It's together. It's got that blue tint and the daylight, so it looks nice. I like it. The next thing we're going to do is actually build the top of it. I haven't decided what I'm going to do for the top, if I'm just going to run some boards across this way, or I actually have some cabinet grade plywood in there I may use. If I use a plywood, we're going to stain it and put it up here, and there's a couple other things I want to do. If not, if it's just going to be boards running this way, I may have to put some support beams in the middle just to keep the board from sagging. But if it's the plywood, which I think is probably going to be the plywood, that's not going to be necessary. So yep, that finishes up part 4, the base. The next part is going to be the top. Stay tuned. Middle-aged guy signing off. I appreciate it. Y'all take care.